Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Southern Steel Show with Brody Huff. This is a recorded intro after the fact. For some reason or another, I'm assuming just basic technical difficulty, or not recorded correctly. So y'all are going to kind of be thrown in awkwardly to the conversation, but it flows well enough after that, so just bear with me. Thank y'all and enjoy.
Patriot Academy, and have been learning some amazing things. The Lord has brought me a long ways from where I was and is teaching me a bunch. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Elena.
Hi, I'm Elena Herzog. I am the fourth of 14, and a little bit about myself. Okay, so like Bella said, my family moved up to Oregon about 2.5 years ago, but our parents homeschooled us. They were second generation homeschoolers, and so we graduated in the same class 2 years ago, I think, and we both are doing the same thing together right now. We're both in the Institute for Patriot Academy.
Y'all have a third sister here, right? She's just not willing to join in on this stuff.
Yeah, I don't normalize that right now.
Also, this is very sporadic.
It is sporadic. I've invited them on before, but we couldn't make that one work. And then I was going to record something else, and Bella walked in and wanted to watch me record. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then her other sister, Elena, here walked in as well. I'm like, all right, y'all are joining in on the episode. Did you invite her up here? Okay, I didn't tell her to invite you up here, but that's fine. You're here now and you're trapped. That's all that matters. So, 14 kids. Mm-hmm. That's not exactly common these days. How do you think maybe your life was a little different than most so far up to this point?
I think in multiple different ways. I've seen it be different just being around people that only have one or two siblings. I'm like, wow, you didn't have to wake up in the middle of the night and change diapers or make sure someone goes to the bathroom or just see a pile of dishes on the counter and do them, or you didn't have the opportunity to teach your younger siblings. And I feel like my position as the third oldest, second oldest sister has been, I don't know, I feel like the Lord's really prepared me for what I want to be one day, which is a mom. And yeah, I don't think there's a lot that my parents didn't cover, and I'm super grateful for that, whether that's getting us involved socially, which was, I was kind of a little less there, or whether it was like homeopathic medicine and doing things more naturally minded. But I would say it's prepared me in a lot of ways to be a mom. And it's super different hearing people like, wow, you didn't have like all these other siblings and all this other noise throughout the house. But
having 14 siblings is fun. It's crazy and loud.
It's crazy.
There's always noise in the house. There's always something going on. Somebody's always injured, but it's always...
Yeah, y'all get injured here with only 3 of you here.
It's always been a blast.
So, their other sister tried to juice her fingers with a wood splitter here not too long ago. She succeeded. I think Elena, you ran into a jungle gym or something with your head? Yeah. Bella, have you got hurt? Have you been pretty safe so far?
I'm good. Yeah, I don't think you've been.
I don't think she's managed anything yet. She'll be next.
Which is crazy for my personality, but...
Yeah, she punches people randomly all the time. You'd think she'd have punched a wall or something on accident at this point, and broke her hand or something. But nope, she's been okay up to now. I wish I had my grandma on. She grew up with 10 siblings. She could probably have a conversation a little smoother than I can. I had one brother throughout most of my childhood, and then my parents adopted a little girl whenever I was like 15. So at that point, it's like I'm already driving everywhere, so that didn't really affect my life. My brother, it affected him, but for me, it was like I have a sister now. And when I was getting asked if I had siblings whenever I was 17 or 18, they'd ask me, yeah, I got Braden. Oh, and a sister. You just forget, and then you have to remember, and then people think that you're horrible. And you're like, oh, well, sorry, I didn't have her for most of my life.
What's your sister's name?
Erin Huff. And she will tell you very loudly if you ask, and then try to spell it out for you, and then tell you that she loves you, whether she knows you or not. Aww. It's a bit odd, but she's fun. But I did get to skip out on the changing diapers like you were talking about. But that was because I threw my brother under the bus most times, not because I didn't have the opportunity to. There were plenty of times when mom or dad was like, okay, boys, we need the horses fed, and we need one of y'all to change Aaron's diapers. And I would kick Braden in the leg, so I'd knock him down and run out the door to go feed horses because I am not changing a diaper.
Just like my brothers. Yep. I don't think boys should be the ones changing diapers, anyways.
There's big
Sounds
debate
good to me.
around
I'm perfectly fine with
I mean,
that.
unless you enjoy it, but it's more of a woman's job, anyways. So.
I like the way you think. I had someone ask me here a while back if I thought I could stay out of that forever. I'm like, eventually you're going to have your own kids. I'm like, yeah, and I'll do every other job in the house, but I don't want to change diapers, so I'm going to avoid it. I don't know if I'll be able to make that work, but we're going to try. So, how did it change over time as you continued to have siblings? Like, you would have had, what, 5 or 6 at one point? Have there been, like, stages in that, or has it just kind of stayed the same throughout? What'd that look like?
You mean our parents' decision in having more kids, or what?
I'd be interviewing your parents on that one. How did your experience change as you continued to have more siblings?
Oh. Ooh, I feel like we always got a bigger car anytime there was more kids. So we used to have like Chevrolet Suburban, that was like a 7-seat or whatever. I don't really remember whenever I had 5 siblings. I just remember whenever I had like 8 or 9, because Mama had them so quick that whenever I was old enough to start remembering a lot, I had like 8 or 9 siblings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Mama had 5 of us in the span of, like, Martin was 3 when Mama had 5 of us. He was about to turn 4. So, like, she was pregnant all the time. And it's kind of weird nowadays seeing Mama not pregnant, because I always remember her with child, and, you know, that was just such a big part of, I think, our girl's childhood, was helping her out with when she was pregnant and learning to fill that role when she couldn't be doing stuff in the family. The dynamics, oh my goodness, there's like big kids, middle kids, and little kids.
We have our little sections, our little tiers.
Yeah, we do. It's so funny
Our
because
groups.
now that the big kids are like really big, the middle kids are not big kids, and we're adults. And then there's a little kids group that's almost in sync, but they're kind of being split up right now, just because personalities and what they're doing and like different ages. But yeah, I mean, we've always traveled. Our dad loves to travel, so I would think with wherever we're going, we usually drove in a camper. So.
Yeah, y'all got a big RV. He pulled up in that thing the first time. I was like, holy cow, I would not want to drive that ever, I don't think.
I think
Sound
I've
like our
driven.
mom.
It wasn't that one, because that's. Oh, I think we got the first one we had. Like, we got in a wreck, or somebody ran into
Someone
us.
ran in the back of us, yeah.
And then that was a Class C, and then our parents wanted to get a Class A, so then we did that, and then traveled like all the way up to New Mexico for, I think it was like 2 or 3 months. We were camper camping. And then we sold that one, and then moved to Oregon, and then we bought the one that we have right now. And my parents have been just traveling, camping at different places.
Mm-hmm.
In between the 2 Class C campers, or Class R's campers, they bought a whole bunch of wall tents, a trailer, 2 cars, and then we went and traveled all the way up the East Coast and then all the way up the West Coast. So
Yeah.
we do a lot of camping as a family.
We would just stay in National Forest because that's the part that's free. We just find a river and we just camp beside there. BLM, National Forest, yeah.
Yeah, I had a conversation with y'all's dad here not too long ago when I was asking him. We were talking about like family stuff for a little bit, and then I just dove into politics for no reason. But I went on the conservation side. I'm like, y'all are from Texas, but you also have all these kids and camp all the time. So I wanted to get his take on conservation and national forests and public land and stuff. And he's like, well, whenever I was younger, I was on the side of just privatizing everything. He's like, but now I see the value in having this land be available to everyone, because not everyone can just own hundreds of acres to get out and be in God's creation. I'm like, I like you. It's like, I like your opinions. It was an interesting conversation, for sure. You look like you were going to say something before I interrupted you there.
I just think it's funny, like, when you saw the camper, you're like, oh, I would want to drive that. My mom, we would go down to Houston to see our dad because he was a firefighter for 20 years.
Sucks.
And she's such a trooper. She would do it, but she didn't like how big it was and how, like, everyone saw it anywhere we went. But she still drives it now. Like, she's pretty much gotten over that part of it, but just having to drive that thing in Houston is difficult. And, like, all us kids are being so rowdy in the back, and yeah, that's
Well,
just
speak
a
for
fond
yourself.
memory that comes with that. Mine was just freaking out over in the corner. But
I was not.
Were you having a panic attack?
No, I would keep everyone quiet. being rowdy was not allowed in the cars at all.
Well, Papa wasn't in the car. We were going to see him, so
True.
it would get rowdy at that time. But
Yeah, no, I've driven bigger vehicles than a lot of people, but I have not driven anything that big, and I don't really plan on it anytime soon, and unless it becomes a necessity, like it sounds like it eventually did for y'all. What was it like going from Texas to Oregon? Did life change, or was it just a change of location? Like as far as the family dynamic goes.
life completely changed.
It changed like from black to white, or from white to black.
We went from having our dad, just backwards.
Yeah.
We went from having our dad very present in the home. We were in Texas, and
He was
having
the
a
leader,
more
the
set.
authority, the one who was always
Yeah.
like in charge,
Mhm.
also disciplining.
We had more set schedules, even though our dad's so like sporadic. He would just say, "All right, we're gonna go move cows." We don't have to drop our schoolwork and just run out the door and help him with whatever. So it was chaotic in that and like very flexible, but we still had more of a schedule than what we did when we went to Oregon. When we went to Oregon, we went up there when
We gave it our all.
We gave it our all. Like, we didn't do school. Like, we just went after helping out the ranches that we were moving to and doing our best and helping them out and showing them what we could do. And because a lot of people didn't see the value in that many kids and just saw it as a burden. But it dramatically changed from our dad not being in the home as much anymore. And then our school hours really changed because we always wanted to be out riding horses and fixing fence and building rock jacks and just a whole bunch of stuff. And it was like really, really chaotic, fun 3 years, 2.5 years. But yeah, that was a big life change. Going from Texas, more like set in stone, to Oregon and just doing everything for everyone and like doing that. But
So even though it became like more ingrained in your lifestyle, y'all had already been around cattle and horses before going to Oregon, hadn't you?
Just cows.
Just
We
cows?
had an old horse when we were like really young, but he ended up dying about I think 2 years after we had him, and so we didn't ever like have much experience with horses. We had two, but they were not like saddle trained. They were a little bit more harder to ride or whatever. So we didn't really ever ride horses, and just up until 2 years ago,
yeah.
and then most of us were given horses and then started training them.
Mm-hmm. Our dad really wanted us to be able to ride horses, and he wanted to teach us to train horses. But because he was working in the fire department and was just keeping the farm afloat, he didn't really have time to train. We really wanted to do that, but we had 2 horses. One was his, and then Millie got one from someone. But we had Woodrow. He bought that horse as a wedding present from Mom. So we had that horse for a long time. We just never knew how to ride. And then we had an old horse, and we got to ride him. We did like everything on him. Like, we tied ropes to his shoulders, and we had the wagon behind him. Like, come on, let's go.
He was like 24 or something. He was old.
Yeah, but he was a really good horse for us. But we'd always been around cows. We'd always done rotational grazing with our dad, and moving and setting up paddocks and.
So it was a very small scale that our
was.
dad worked on. It was probably the max he had was about 60 to 90 cows.
We used to have 90 when Grandpa Herzog passed away.
Yeah.
But then it went down to smaller.
It got a lot
herds.
smaller after, like, due to inheritance breakup on the land and everything. But when we moved up to Oregon, they run everything on really large scales, which is like about
thousands of acres
1,200
and
cows.
like you cannot see nothing but like some parts of it's desert, some parts of it's beautiful mountain and forest. Learning how to gather in those areas, oh, it's a blast.
Were many of the spots that y'all worked on BLM land at all? Some of
They
the
did a lot of
national
BLM.
leases? Are there any regulations between the two? Like if you're on private land or BLM, are you able to do the same thing on both, or do you have to switch over how you do things whenever you cross over into the national
The same
land?
thing as in the fence or the water or the cows.
Did you have to change how you did anything whenever you got on the Bureau of Land Management land? Because I've dealt with people that have national forest leases, but that's a lot stricter, I've heard, than Bureau of Land Management leases, but I don't know. So I've never been around anyone that had anything on that kind of land.
I don't really know.
There was a couple of things that were really frustrating when we were working on the McKay Ranch up in Oregon. They run their stuff in the Ventura area, and they were trying to like preserve like make this water hole more accessible because you can tell water's running out of the ground. So they just basically made a little pond for it to go into. And the Bureau of Land Management came in and said, you can't do that, this is tearing up the ground. So we had to fence it off to where the cows couldn't drink water there and had to make them caves like go for really, really far for water. I don't know if that was the McKay's land or if that was actually the Bureau's land, but no, that was something good to find out. I don't exactly know. I know that fencing in the forest depended on whose land touched whose, and if it was touching BLM, we basically built the fence the same way. But
I got you. I've seen a few articles lately where it seems like the Bureau of Land Management and the National Forest Service is trying to crack down on private use of the land, even though it's leased out. Like, they have the right to it, but they're getting a lot of pushback from like environmental groups and things like that that don't really know what they're talking about, and that's hurting ranchers from what I've seen. But I haven't talked to anyone. I've only read, and you can only know so much from reading an article that has its own biases. So what made your family decide to come back to Texas and leave Oregon? And was it a family decision, or was it just your parents deciding we're done here, we're heading back?
So initially, my dad's plan was his dream when he was a really young boy was to be a rancher, be a husband, and be a father. Those were his three biggest dreams. And he ended up getting into the fire department and then retired after 20 years, moved up to Oregon. And before we moved up there, his plan was just to go 6 months and try it out, see what he thought about it. Because he'd done a little cowboying before that, like before he even got in the fire department, and he really enjoyed that, but he wanted to do it on a very large scale and see what that would be like. So when we got up there for about 2.5 years, he decided after the lifestyle wasn't necessarily what he wanted. It was, for our size family, it was very fast paced, and he needed more time to be with the children, with my mother. And so then after the time we spent up there, we loved it as a family. It was super fun. But yeah, it was our parents' decision. They decided they wanted to be able to be done, come home, and just basically regroup and reconnect as a family.
Yeah, moving up to Oregon, it was like heartbreaking. Like for all of us, we were like, didn't realize it'd be that far. We were all really excited where the Lord was going to take us because we knew our dad wanted to be a rancher. And there was, like, we all felt the city just, like, encroaching in on the farm because of all the inheritance and stuff. So I remember, like, specifically crying almost for 4 hours on the drive when we struck out to go to Oregon, just because I was realizing how much I was going to miss my family. And then in Oregon, like, miss my family back in Texas. But traveling to Oregon with my family and working there, and we had so many great experiences and saw ranch life on a large scale. The decision to come back, though, it was due to a couple different things, but I remember our parents coming to us and saying, me and Mama have both felt the Lord say this is where we need to go, which is back to the farm, like, and separate. Like, Papa heard a word from the Lord, let's say on Sunday, Mama heard it like on Wednesday or something, but they both felt like the Lord was telling them, we need to head back because this is not, we saw a drop in attitudes and respect, and just what had been a normal in our family had just not been a normal anymore because we didn't have our dad. And so, like, the attitudes weren't as, how would you say that? That we weren't being held to the same standard, I guess. And so that also played along with the decision to come back, and some other things. But with that decision, it was still very hard because by that time we'd made some really good friends up in Oregon, and they are going to be lifelong prayer warriors, and we're going to go back up there and see them at some point because we love them so much. But
by no means coming back down, it doesn't mean we're not going to go back up there, because we still have plans to work up there, summer jobs and like the seasonal type jobs. There's haying opportunities and fencing opportunities, and really almost any season there's work that they could use us for. So they want us to come back up, and it's like 3 or 4 ranches that asked us to come back whenever we want to. So it's just, as a family, it wouldn't be ideal for all of us to be up there. So.
Well, and also long term, it wasn't what my dad it wasn't what he wants to be doing long term. He really focuses on rotational grazing and the rejuvenation of the ground and the soil matter and the organic and like all things that you think of when you come to that, rotating cows and stuff. You can't really do that up there. And the mindset of people up there has been the mindset of the way they ranch for a long time. And so just to come in and try and like, hey, we're going to do this different. We just went up there and we just did everything that they were doing, which brought us so much knowledge. But that like environment, that climate is not really the best for what my dad wants to do. So he wants to find a spot in between farm in Texas and our loved ones in Oregon. So like both places, family in both places, and we have people that we want to go back and see. But he wants to find a place in between where he can best do his long-term dream with mom.
I had talked to him some about the rotational grazing and stuff because I don't know much about cattle, but I like them. I just don't know anything about them. So like I'm gonna ask him some questions and try to learn a little bit here. I've been around horses forever. Like we grew up rodeoing, but you don't learn much if you just rodeo. There's a bunch of idiots as far as horses go that are in rodeo. They're gonna get themselves killed if they stick to it. But my dad was a farrier, so I learned a lot in that trade and know how to take care of the horses. On top of Dad just loving them, and he's got so many books on like horse training and things like that he's listened to. Dad's not a big reader, but he'll listen to anything that interests him. He drives all the time for work, so it's just constantly an audiobook or a podcast playing in the background. And I wasn't as good about listening to that stuff. That doesn't really interest me. I would read books. We had a textbook, it was Gregory's horseshoeing school. I'm trying to think of it was the Heartland Horseshoeing School textbook that the guy that had founded the school had written. And Dad had me go through that, and I had to pass a bunch of tests that he come up with, and every time I passed the test, I'd get a raise on the job side of it.
Wow.
And that, I liked money enough. I didn't care anything about being a horseshoer at the time, but I liked that enough that I passed the written side of the certified farrier test when I was like 12. I didn't try to do the practical side, like shoeing the horse, but I got the written side done, and Dad's like, well, now you can do the practical and get another raise. I'm like, no, I'm good. I was like, I don't want to do that, but I'll stick where I'm at. And I never did try to go back and take the test, but I continued to learn because I was only 12 and I worked with Dad until I was like 19. When I was up in Montana for a month or so at an outfitter school, it's a Royal Tyne Guide and Outfitter School. They had like a week that was all about horses. So it was trying to teach you how to handle horses that are injured or have got something psychological going on, like traumatized, that kind of thing, or shoeing them. And we came to the shoeing days, and they asked if anyone knew how to shoe horses. I was like, hey, can I go grab something from my tent? Like, sure, go for it. I didn't answer his question. I just let him handle that stuff. And I came back with my chaps on that were like specifically blacksmith chaps and had my name written across. I'm like, I know how to shoe horses. So they put everybody to the horse, and they were all just, you're with a bunch of kind of roughly raised people. They're cussing up a storm and trying to just keep from touching the horse too hard so that they don't get beat by the guy that owns them, because he said, if you hurt my horse, like, I will hit you with a rasp. It's like they wanted to hit those horses really bad, but that's because they don't know anything about horses. It was just a bunch of hunters. It wasn't people that had been around the equine side at all. And I got a kick out of it because it had been a while since I'd shod horses. I wasn't in shape for it anymore, and I had a horse shod and was helping the guy that owned it shoe his horse. And the team of people, not one guy, the team of people that were the closest to being caught up with me had one foot done and the other one trimmed. I'm like, what's going on, guys? It's kind of slow over here. And they just kind of looked at me and cussed me out a little bit. I'm like, you'll be fine. And I walked off. It was enjoyable. I got to poke fun, and that's one of my favorite things to do. So,
You know what? You could shoe all of our horses when you come out to our place.
Yeah,
because none of them have been shot.
I'm not here to train your horses to be shot.
No. So they've all been messed with feet wise, but their feet are just all hard enough. They're not Mustang. They're all quarter horse, but like they're all raised in the country where like they just, I don't know, they grew up on the range, and their feet are just extremely hard and tough to anything. So I've never had to shoe mine.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Farriers are only in business because people care too much about their horses and don't know what they're talking about. Most of the time, growing up with Dad, we'd come to these barns and be like, "Son, half of these horses don't need shod, but this crazy English lady is she wants them shod, so we're gonna put shoes on them." And he'd try to talk them out of it, like somebody trying to talk themselves out of business. Like, this horse doesn't need shoes. Like, I want this type of shoes. Like, that's going to cripple the horse. I'm not doing that. So then they'd settle for something else instead, but he'd still put shoes on them. We had one lady that had a Palomino horse, and it had the best feet of any horse that you've ever seen. They were shaped like a bell, and they were cupped right. The angles were all perfect. The horse had hard feet. Great. And the lady just kept pushing at Dad, and like the fourth time, she finally got him to put shoes on, and that horse has had crappy feet since. She's like, "What'd you do?" I'm like, "I didn't do anything. I told you this horse did not need shoes," because Dad can shoe horses, but if the horse doesn't need shoes, it doesn't matter how good the farrier is, you've now compromised that foot. So the horse needs shoes from now on. And Dad moved, and nobody in that area is any good, because all of them that were as good or better than Dad are old and retired now. So it's a bunch of young guns that are not very good.
So I have a question. If you're riding your horses through rocks, is it better to shoe them or just better to just go easy on them through the rocks?
Did they grow up in the rocks?
Most of them do. Some of them
don't put shoes on them until they tell you they need shoes. If the horse comes up lame, even then you need to make sure that it's lame because of the foot and not because of something else. Anything that's the knee or hock below can usually be adjusted or fixed by horseshoeing. Anything from the knee or hock above is a vet problem you're not going to do. But there's like one tendon in the hind leg. The name of it is skipping my mind, but you can put this thing called a patent bar shoe on it that like lifts the horse's heel up off the ground quite a bit. It's a funky looking shoe, and that's about the only thing that you can adjust that's above the hock or the knee with a horseshoe. And even then, you're not really doing much. It's just like, yeah, you've mitigated the symptoms by 15%.
Cool.
But something that I always found funny on the horseshoeing side is we work with vets all the time, because everybody's got a vet just like everybody's got a horseshoer. The horseshoeing section of vet school is 2 weeks long, and they come out of vet school and will just tell a farrier what to do all the time. And then you get Dad, who's a lot like me. There's a reason I act like me, and you'll get a vet that'll tell him or tell the customer that a horse needs something. You're like, "Oh, yeah, that's retarded. We're not doing that." It's like, whoa. It's like, okay. A good vet will tell a farrier the problem, and if a farrier is good, then he can fix it. And if they can't fix it, or they don't even have an idea of where to start, then usually that's not a farrier dealing with, that's a horseshoer. And there is a difference. A horseshoer didn't go to school, didn't do any learning. They just kind of cold bang around, take the shoe, don't put it in a forge, smack it around, nail it on. A farrier knows the blacksmithing side, knows all the book work. A lot of them have went to school or apprenticed with somebody that did, and they know horses. That's a farrier. So that's one of my largest pet peeves. Is I'll meet someone like, "Yeah, my cousin's a farrier." I'm like, "Do you happen to have a picture of like any of the work he's done?" "Sure." And you look at it like, oh, this is horrible. This looks like botched surgery. I don't want anything to do with this guy. Man, it's fun. I can never go back to being a horseshoer, but I always enjoy getting back home and doing a few with Dad. My brother is working on that right now. He's got a few different blacksmiths he's working with. He's learning all the book work with Dad and one other guy up there in Weatherford. And it was funny to me because he told me he was going to become a horseshoer like 6 months ago. I'm like, "You have avoided work with Dad your entire life. Why would you want to shoe horses now?" I just thought he was getting lazy and didn't feel like trying to decide anything else. But now he's in it. Like, he's learning stuff that I didn't learn. He's getting pretty good at it. I'm like, all right, I'll leave you alone.
Is your dad still shooting horses?
Yeah, not near as many. He moved to Weatherford, and there's a lot more horses, but there's also a lot more farriers, so it's kind of hard to rebuild his business. But as he's rebuilding his business, Mom has been promoted so many times in her job. It's like, it's not really, you're not worried on the money side. You're fine so long as Dad continues to try to build his business, which he is. And then having help whenever Braden can is always good whenever you're trying to rebuild it, because it doesn't help you build the business as much as, because your business is slow and you're trying to rebuild it, you'll kind of come out of shape to do the horseshoeing. But Braden is 19, so he's not going to be as out of shape as my dad is. So as the business builds up, Braden can kind of mitigate how sore Dad gets, and Dad can get back in better shape as the business builds up and all that mess. But Dad will never shoe as many horses again as he did whenever we were in Arkansas. He's just not. By the time he could get 18 years of business back, he'll be too old. It'll be time for him to retire and find something else. We keep trying to talk him into becoming a realtor for like some of the ranches or horse barns or things like that. He's like, you actually like this stuff, and you can talk people into buying it. But Dad's not a salesman. He'll tell you what he thinks and nothing more. He's sold horses that could have been sold for a lot more, but he's honest, so they're not going to be sold for more, which is good. I don't like horse salesmen. They're not to be trusted. That's a lot of talk about me and my life. Back to y'all. Y'all said that you have an opportunity to go back up and work seasonally. Do you think that a lot of y'all will do that, or only one or two? Like, what's the thought process there? It's not the full family that's going to go back seasonally, is it?
No, it's not the full family. I know I'm planning on going back. I know Martin, my older brother, he has, I guess, sort of a commitment. Is he still going to go up there? There's a contract between, I guess, the BLM and the cutting of the cedar trees or whatever. So he's going to go up there and help a guy up there and cut them all down.
He's going up to be a logger, huh?
Sort of. They're not really logging them, they're just cutting them down.
Okay.
The government got shut down, so the contract's not in working order right now. So Martin's not up there right now. But I will take the contrary side of that, because I think Papa has a lot of dreams and like aspirations and hopes. So he definitely wants to go back up to Oregon and be able to help out all the different ranches that we got to be a part of, and not just them,
a little bit of time.
but seasonally. So I don't think that we would go up there for another state job. James, our brother, really, really wants to go back up, and I have an opportunity to go back up and help on a haying crew. So there are a few jobs seasonally that we know of. Haying crew?
Haying.
Yeah, sorry.
They said hanging crew. I'm like, all right, sheriff's posse, we go. Let's go.
But no, I know our dad wants to go back up and be with the community and be able to help them out. That's just our dad's heart. He just wants to go up there and help them out during the busy seasons. But he still wants to be able to find a place where we can do a lot of stuff on our own. So.
It's a pretty part of the country. I don't know that I'd ever care to go that far west. I kind of stop once I get to Wyoming or Idaho. It's like, and this is perfect. No more of that liberal gay stuff if you go further over. Because whether the people are good in the specific areas y'all are in, they're not exactly in a state that likes what they do, and they're coming for them. So eventually they'll have to put up a bigger fight than they do right now, and hopefully they win. But who knows? And that's why I'll just stop in Montana or Wyoming. But I gotta talk somebody into letting me go to somewhere like that without knowing anything about cattle, though. So that might be a little rough.
I don't know. They're like our dad, when he sent out his resume, he never worked on the size scale ranch that we got hired onto. And everyone up there was super willing. Like the last ranch we were just on, they hired a guy right before we left so Papa could be teaching him what he was doing before we left, and that way, and he took over. That guy had he'd done some rodeo, but he'd never really worked with cows, from my understanding.
Yeah. And there's more than just cows. It's the pivots, the irrigation, the haying, the fencing.
So the cows is the fun part about it, because when you have to saddle up and go out and get cows, that's what everyone just talks about. But there's so much more side of it that people will hire you on for if you just have a good work ethic.
See, here's my predicament in any job that I go to. I know certain things that I'm good at. I don't like those things, but because I'm good at them and don't really know as much about the stuff I do like, I usually end up getting shifted over to where I just take care of that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know anything about cattle, so I might go somewhere where they're irrigating or working on the tractor broke down, let's do some mechanic and stuff like that. And I just know I'll get shifted over to having to do that instead of working with the cattle. So it's like trying to find a specific job on one of the big ranches where it's like, you're just a ranch hand. There's not many of them that still do that, but there's still a few, and that's kind of the job I'm looking at, because I want to be on the animal side. Yeah. I'm decent at all the mechanic stuff, and I can figure things out when stuff breaks, like, but I don't like doing that. Even here, I came in and I was doing the landscaping and the maintenance side of it, and then the landscaping I didn't know quite as much about, or I even just knew more about the maintenance side, and they wanted it to be split up. So like, all right, you do maintenance, the other guy gets the landscaping, and the landscaping is more enjoyable. It's like, dang it, it's like I can't win here.
Yeah, I feel like our dad would, a lot of what people use up there, they use horses quite a bit, but they also use a lot of four-wheelers and motorcycles, and that's not exactly what...
Dirt bikes.
Yeah, dirt bikes, sorry, not motorcycles. So I get where you're coming from, and yeah, there would just be a lot of, you may be hired on because you're good at one thing, but if you express an interest, at least I know with the last ranch we left, and I think every ranch we worked on up there, you express an interest in cattle, and they will teach you everything you need to know, and it is, you can get really in depth, but if you just go up there, like, you may not want to go up there, but at least for us, we didn't know a lot of how a lot of things worked, but they taught us everything.
I mean, I want to go up where Oregon.
That far, that far past Wyoming.
There's more jobs on the listings for places east of where y'all are at, so I don't know that I would have to go that far.
But I can't speak for them.
Yeah, you
It's
can't.
true. I can speak for basically all the bottom corner of Oregon.
All bits, every single ranch.
We've been to a lot of
brandings.
brandings, met a lot of people. That's how we went to 3 different ranches, because of like meeting people through brandings and stuff. So
Branding is something I'd like to go to at least one of them. Even if my life doesn't work out where I can be in that sphere. Yeah, I've never branded anything.
Brody.
I've witnessed a horse get freeze branded once, and that's the closest I've come to any of them. Like, well, this is stupid. You just run them in a chute. That was
Yeah, some
boring.
people do like that. Last
Yeah.
year we actually had the opportunity to help out
One
one of
Phillies.
Halter Break people, the Bent's Ranch up there. We got to help them quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
When our dad was working on that ranch and didn't need help all the time, the Bent's in the town nearby would need our help, so we would like travel back and forth. A lot of us would, and we got the opportunity to help them break their fillies last year.
And they're cycles.
They have this big horse program that they do, and they have a horse sale in June. It's really cool, but they don't freeze brand them through the chute. They build up trust with them and training them, and they just like basically walk up.
Hair,
Yeah,
and then get the little.
they get them used to like the zzz sound of the shaver, and they shave off a little bit on their left rump, I think it is.
Left hind.
Yeah, left hind, and then they just go up there. So that was cool, but.
I guess that's where most people brand these days on horses, just the left hind. If y'all ever went to the 4-6's ranch, no, they still brand in like 3 different areas on a horse. Like you'll have some that'll have cheap brands, and then sometimes they'll have a cheap brand on both sides, and then the rump. I don't know. I don't think anyone neck brands a horse besides the U.S. government, because I think that's really only Mustangs. And then you have all those weird letters and symbols. You're like, just come up with a word to brand it with. Why do you have to do that? 'Cause it's usually
It looks
ugly.
so cool though.
So
James
many
had a
people-
Mustang while we were up in Oregon. He trained her, and I call it a tattoo because it looks so beautiful when her hair flies, and it just like looks like a tattoo on the side of her neck.
Somebody branded that horse correctly. Then most of them I've seen look like somebody tried to rip out a bunch of hair on a horse and just left
Most
it
time
like
it
that.
does look really ugly, but
Yeah.
some
Because they're too small. You can't brand stuff correctly when it's that small, but someone must have taken care of with that horse that you're talking about. My dad had this farm that he worked for that was like for kids that had gotten kicked out of school or went to juvie or things like that. Instead of going to jail, they'd ship them out to this farm and they'd have to work the farm. And
be chaotic.
some of it was like horse therapy and stuff like that. And there's this big competition every year where it's like a kid takes a Mustang and trains it to do all kinds of things. And Dad sponsored a kid at that farm to do that because he had to buy the Mustang. The farm couldn't afford it that year. He's like, well, I want that kid to get to do it. So he bought the Mustang. They're kind of cheap. You know, it's just free horses, just
Chicken
dang
feed,
near free
yeah.
horses.
Yeah.
That horse was smart. He was mean. I remember the first time I went in after they'd done all this training, he told me to trot the horse off because it was kind of lame. So I took off trotting, and I just get bit on the shoulder, just giant bruise on the back. Like, you stupid! I wanted to shoot that horse.
Mustangs are picky and choosy.
Yeah.
They have one person they like and they don't like anybody else.
He didn't like me.
Yes.
She didn't win, but that horse could do all kinds of stuff by the time she got done with it. We ended up selling it to a cousin of ours because the kid didn't get to keep it. It was still Dad's horse, but we didn't want it. It was almost too broke in most fronts for what we needed horses for. So I don't even think we sold it. I think he gave it to a cousin of ours and their kids ride it. He got over being mean to he never did like me though. We kept shoeing the horse. I wouldn't touch the horse. I'm like, you don't like me, I don't like you, let's keep it this way. You stay over there in that corner, I'm gonna stay over here in this corner. If you run at me, I'm shooting you in the face. Like I'm not dealing with this. Horses are dangerous if they want to be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I think that's where I'm gonna call it. Thanks for coming on. For those listening, thanks for listening. Until next time, this is the Southern Steel Show with Brody Huff.